Mr. Dankert, would you do the roll call, please?
Mayor Steen.
Present.
Councilmember Large Anderson.
Present.
Councilmember Carolyn.
Present.
Enright. King. Austin.
Present.
Jordahl.
Present.
Hagan.
Present.
We have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a motion for adoption of the agenda with the additions, number 18, and some backup material. I need a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 2 is a motion for approval of the minutes of July 5th, 2016. I need a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I don't think we have anything under awards and recognitions. Number 4 is the consent agenda. We need a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item number 5, under bid openings and awards, is the resolution accepting bids for 4th Drive Southwest construction. Mr. Lang.
Yes, as the council knows, we've been working, the engineering department has been working with the Moore County Highway Department to develop a project on 4th Drive Southwest. Some key components of the project is that we have a federal grant to pay for a portion of the project that is within the city limits. We are extending the project south to County Road 28, so there's a portion within the city limits and a portion outside of the city limits, so it involves multiple jurisdictions. And also the federal funding and state aid funding as well as part of the project. So lots of different components to this project. Work will consist of removal of the rural asphalt section, followed by underground utility upgrades and electrical improvements. The roadway will then be rebuilt with curb and gutter at a width of 34 feet. That was something that we discussed in depth a few months ago, and also an 8-foot wide bituminous walk. Construction will occur in 3 phases, with phases 1 and 2, the city segments within the city limits will be completed this fall, and phase number 3, which is pretty much the section out in the county, will be completed next spring or early summer, more likely early summer. We opened up bids on July 14th for this project. We had 2 bidders, which is pretty good for this time of year. Usually concerned about not getting good quality bids because contractors are full of work. But in this case, we had 2 bidders, and again, the low bidder was Ulen Brothers Incorporated at $1,739,578.05. With this project, there is DBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, and EEO, which is Equal Opportunity Employment requirements as part of this project. So we have sent the documents up to MnDOT Civil Rights Office for review of that. Also, I mentioned the county is also involved, and county funding as part of the state aid system. They are involved as well. So they will also be reviewing these bids. So at this time, I would recommend awarding the project to Ulen Brothers contingent upon acceptance by MnDOT Civil Rights Office and also the Moore County Board of Commissioners.
Council, anything? If not, we need a resolution.
So moved the resolution.
Second. Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember Carolyn.
Aye.
Enright. Austin.
Aye.
Jordahl.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Councilmember Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes 6-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. Item 6 is a motion and a resolution reviewing a zoning request petitioned by Jeffrey Sellers, Mark Grieve, and James Schaefer. Holly?
Okay, it's a little busy, but this is the location of the area in the circle here. This is an entire block with which the petitioners joined in this request for a rezone. Mr. Sellers initiated the request and then joined with Schaefer's and Dr. Reeve in order to rezone this area from an RO to a B2 district. The Sellers property has some blighted residential, and Mr. Sellers wishes to redevelop that property. He's currently considered a non-conforming use in that area as an RO district. He has put together some plans for a redevelopment and to remove the blighted residential property. The Planning Commission reviewed the requested rezone on July 12th, 2016. The Planning Commission reviewed or considered The consistency of the proposed zoning with the goals, policies, and future land use map of the comprehensive plan. They considered the compatibility of the site with the uses permitted in the proposed zoning district, the compatibility of all the potential uses allowed in the proposed zoning district with surrounding uses. They looked at the capacity of the existing infrastructure and services sufficient to accommodate the uses permitted in the requested district without compromising the health, safety, and welfare of the surrounding residents. Whether the uses permitted in the proposed zoning district would cause any detrimental environmental impacts, whether the boundaries of the requested zoning district were sufficient to meet the dimensional regulations for the proposed zoning district, and whether the ability of the applicant to satisfy any requirements for the specific use proposed in this area. And there is also a parking variance associated, or request associated with this rezoning matter. The Planning Commission voted 7-0 to recommend the rezone to a B2 district to the council. The Planning Commission found that the land use is consistent with the comprehensive future land use plan, is a furnished commercial district between residential and central business district, that the requested zoning change is consistent also with comprehensive plan goals addressing commercial facilities near residential development, as well as encouraging reuse and redevelopment of land within the city limits. Does the council have any specific questions about the proposed use of the area or any of the considerations that the Planning Commission reviewed?
Questions or comments? Is that it?
Yes.
Okay, but then if there's no questions or comments, we need a motion for A, preparation of the rezoning ordinance.
Move for, that the ordinance be prepared.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then we need an ordinance for B.
Move for adoption and publication of the ordinance.
Is there a second? Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember Carolyn.
Aye.
Enright.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Jordahl.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Anderson.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 6-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. Moving to 7 under public hearings is reviewing a zoning request petition by K Properties Management LLC. Once again, Holly.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the same issue, just a different zoning district. This property that K Properties is petitioning to rezone came in as an R1 zoning district when we annexed the Lansing area. The area was used in the county as an industrial area. It's located just north of some of the Austin utilities facilities. There's a railroad to the west, and there is some residential to the east. The south was already in the city and also zoned light industrial, which is the I-1 district. The property that is circled currently has a storage facility, and the property owner wishes to add some more storage facilities in that area and believes that that is a need in the area. And the property to the north is also zoned R1 residential, but clearly you can see from the picture of the aerial that there's also a light industrial, heavy commercial use there as well. The Planning Commission also reviewed the same considerations that I went through in the Sellers matter. The Planning Commission voted 7-0 at their meeting on July 12, 2016 to recommend to the council that these zoning requests be approved. The Planning Commission found that the proposed land use change is consistent with the comprehensive plan future land use showing industrial areas to the west and south of this property. This property wasn't actually part of our future land use plan, however, but the adjacent properties were and were noted as light industrial. The property was, the use and redevelopment is compatible with the surrounding uses and zoning, and there are no significant impacts anticipated with regard to the existing infrastructure and surrounding environment. Actually, the closest residential to the east is owned by the same property owner. Does the council have any questions or need any clarification?
Okay. If there are no questions, then we need a motion for A.
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then we need an ordinance for B.
Move for the ordinance to be prepared.
Is there a second?
Oh, it should be moved for the adoption and publication of the ordinance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember Carolyn.
Aye.
Enright. Austin.
Aye.
Jordan.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes, ordinance passes 6-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. Under petitions and requests, number 8 is motion and an ordinance approving an opt-out provision for of the regulation of temporary family health care dwellings. Holly, is this you?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. The law regarding temporary family health care dwellings was created May 12th, 2016. It allowed cities to opt out prior to its effective date of September 1st, 2016. The council did review this, the ordinance, and the proposed statute and rules, along with some material from the League of Minnesota Cities at the last work session on July 5th, 2016, and then the matter came to the Planning Commission at their regular meeting July 12th, 2016. The Planning Commission reviewed the regulations regarding the temporary family health care dwellings along with other materials and discussion. This is some people are familiar with maybe a drop home or granny pod term, but this is a very, very specific, highly regulated version of that. And the Planning Commission felt it was prudent to opt out at this time with a vote of 7-0, recommending opt out to the council.
Okay. Council, any questions, comments? If not, we need a motion for A.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then we need an ordinance, B.
Move for adoption and publication of the ordinance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember Carolyn.
Aye.
Enright.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Jordan.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Councilmember Large Anderson.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 6-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. We need a motion resolving the city council into the Board of Adjustments and Appeals.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 9 is a motion reviewing a parking appeal from Sellers Lock and Key, Inc.
Oops.
Holly?
Sorry, I just need a minute here. I've got my items in the wrong order. Thank you. At our July 12th, again, 2016 meeting of the Austin Planning Commission, the Planning Commission reviewed a request from Sellers Lock and Key for a parking appeal, a variance from the requirements of our city code regulating the number of off-street parking stalls required. The matter was contingent upon rezoning of the petitioner's property. The parking required would be 16 stalls. The petitioner is asking to be allowed to have 12 stalls for off-street parking, which is 75% of the required parking. The Planning Commission determined that the petitioner's property, which has both foot and vehicle traffic for the laundromat and lock and key businesses, they tend to be busy at different times, that there are additional public and private lots in close proximity, as well as on-street parking that can accommodate the remaining 4 stalls required without creating an additional burden for existing uses. After review, the Planning Commission, with 7 members present, recommending granting the appeal with a vote of 7-0.
Council? If there's nothing, no comments or any questions, we need a motion for number 9.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 10 is a motion reviewing a fence appeal from Austin Utilities on behalf of Northern Natural Gas. Holly?
Okay. This property is located off of I-90 and Oakland Avenue West. This is a property that is owned by Northern Natural Gas. Austin Utilities has some natural gas facilities there as well. They have been improving the property to provide greater protection for the equipment at that location, as well as, just from the elements, as well as from potential harm that someone may intend to do to the area. The recommendations come from the Transportation Security Administration. They had asked Northern Natural Gas had asked to have an 8-foot fence with barbed wire. However, we don't allow that type of fence in the city. The maximum height would be allowed would be a 6-foot fence in that area, which is why they're appealing to ask for an 8-foot wire mesh fence. They currently have a 4-foot wire mesh fence around the area. There are no visibility concerns in the area. The limitations to that property were primarily due to the current residential zoning remaining after the annexation, which I've talked to the utilities about perhaps rezoning at some point or making a petition to rezone at some point, but at this point they were just asking the council to allow them to have the fence appeal and to have the 8-foot versus the 6-foot fence. The Planning Commission, after reviewing the matter, recommended 7-0 in favor of allowing the 8-foot fence, and they reviewed the impacts on neighboring properties, public right-of-way, protection of operational equipment, and other considerations.
Okay, council, anything? If not, we need a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 11 is a motion reviewing a fence appeal from Daniel Slawinski. Holly?
This is a residential property. During the Planning Commission meeting on July 12, 2016, the commission reviewed a fence appeal submitted by Mr. Slawinski for a proposed 6-foot privacy fence which would enclose his rear and side yards of his property. The commission recommended approval of the request with the condition that the fence on the southwest end of the property be angled to the setback area. I should maybe show that. So this is an area that there would be a visual obstruction of somebody backing out of this driveway with this fence at this location where it's proposed. The Planning Commission recommended approval with a diagonal cut of the fence here. They also recommended a diagonal in this area. However, this area does meet the setback requirement for front yard. The Planning Commission did review many options. There were 2. The recommendation was 5 in favor of allowing the appeal with conditions, with the condition that I just mentioned, and 2 opposed. The discussion was primarily about the impacts on the neighboring properties and the specifically the visual obstruction. The council could recommend either not granting the appeal, granting the appeal with no conditions, or granting the appeal with the conditions from the Planning Commission or with other conditions. Does the council have any questions specifically about any of the other, or any concerns that you might have?
Council? If there are no questions, we need a motion.
Move to approve the appeal with the conditions set by the Planning Commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And now we need a motion resolving the Board of Adjustment and Appeals back into the City Council.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 12 is a resolution approving the asbestos abatement for 1916 3rd Avenue Northeast and 1205 4th Street Northwest. Holly, looks like this is your final one for a while.
Yeah, the work will include removal of asbestos. The bids are summarized as Safe Air Systems had the low bid of $4,840. There's a cost breakdown of that bid. of $4,340 for 1916 and $500 for 1205. We would recommend awarding the bid to Safe Air Systems. If you have any questions, let me know.
If there are no questions, we need a resolution.
I'll move the resolution.
Is there a second? Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember Carolyn.
Aye.
Enright.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Jordahl.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes 6-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. 13 is a resolution accepting a 2015 FEMA Fire Department grant. Chief?
Your Honor, Council, we applied for and we were awarded a 2015 FEMA Assistance to Firefighters Grant in the amount of $206,777 for new self-contained breathing apparatus. I recommend approval and we accept this AFG grant.
Council? If there's no questions or comments, we need a resolution for 13.
So move the resolution.
Is there a second? Mr. Dankert?
Councilmember Carolyn.
Aye.
Enright.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Jordahl.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes 6-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. 14 is a resolution accepting donations for the city of Austin. We need a resolution.
So move the resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Tom?
Councilmember Carolyn.
Aye.
Enright.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Jordahl.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes 6-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. 15 is a couple of resolutions approving change orders for the Nature Center construction project. Ms. Underwood?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I would like you to accept the change orders for the Nature Center project. One is an addition for the photovoltaic system, and it ends up costing us another $1,841. However, we have some deducts on the other side for $8,325, so that still means we're down in our budget, which is what our goal is, right?
Okay, council, anything? If not, we need a resolution for A, approving a change order for the amount of $1,841 for the photovoltaic system.
So move the resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Dankert?
Councilmember Carolyn.
Aye.
Enright.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Jordahl.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes 6-0, Your Honor.
And we need another resolution for B, approving a change order duct in the amount of $8,325.10 for the Metcon Companies contract.
So move the resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Dankert?
Councilmember Carolyn.
Aye.
Enright.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Jordahl.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes 6-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. 16 is, we need a resolution authorizing a 2017 Point Source Implementation Grant applications for Turtle Creek 2. Mr. Lang?
Yes, this is similar to a grant that we were successful in receiving last year in 2016, and now we were not able to do the project this year. We knew the time frame was going to be tight with the annexation back in January. Bringing the project to construction this year, we knew it would be tight. So we have to reapply for the grant for 2017. We will look at completing the design, meeting with residents this winter, having a bid this winter, and look at constructing the project in 2017. So therefore, we need to reapply for the grant, and we need a resolution from the council approving that. With this grant, we're eligible for 50% of the construction costs.
Council? If there's nothing, we need a resolution for
So
16.
move the resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Dankert?
Councilmember Carolyn.
Aye.
Enright.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Jordahl.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes 6-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. 17 is two motions granting the Planning and Zoning Department the power to contract for the removal of junk and/or illegally stored vehicles at A, 800 Second Avenue Northwest of Raymond property. Need a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? B, 700 11th Avenue Northwest, the Quam property. Need a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and then we come to our addition. Number 18 is a resolution approving an off-site gambling application for the Fraternal Order of the Eagles on October 8, 2016 at the Moore County Fairgrounds. Any questions on this? If not, we need a resolution.
So move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Dankert.
Councilmember Carolyn.
Aye.
Enright. Austin. Jordan.
Aye.
Hagan.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Anderson.
Aye.
Resolution passes 6-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. We now, are there any citizens present who want to address the council on anything that, well, it doesn't matter. Okay, we'll move forward then. Reports and recommendations. We'll start with Jeremy tonight.
Nothing, Your Honor.
David.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Mike.
Nothing.
Janet.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Jeffrey.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Judy. Craig.
Yes.
Had to spoil it.
Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities will be in Austin. It'll be a great opportunity to showcase the great things we have going on here in Austin Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So we're fortunate to have them, and it'll be a great conference. We're looking forward to that. And other than that, we also got a letter from Representative Poppy with a recant of the legislative session and some unfulfilled promise that she felt was there, so that was good to have the letter from her. And I believe we have several staff reports from Ann, Kim, Jim, and Stephen.
How many people are registered for the conference?
I think we have all but one, I believe.
No, total.
70.
I heard a lot more than that today.
Yeah, that was the last count we got from it.
Okay.
The awards banquet will be at, that has 150 folks, but then that's legislators and guests and some other folks, so, but actual attendees, but there's generally a last minute flood too, so we'll see where it ends up.
And the council signed up for it, everybody? Okay, it's a lot of fun, really. You meet a lot of people. Okay, and we have reports from Ann.
Yes, Chuck and Ida Jaron, who live in town. Chuck was a teacher out at Riverland College for many, many years. Their daughter, Ann Hope Jaron, is a scientist and has written a book called Lab Girl, which rocketed up to the New York Times bestseller list. And she will be visiting Austin Public Library on Tuesday, August 9th. 12 o'clock noon, she'll be doing an writer's workshop. You need to register for that, and space is limited. But at 1 o'clock, there will be a reception for her. She'll make a few remarks and do a book signing. So we're very excited to welcome her to Austin.
Is this one from Hawaii?
Yes.
She was, Time Magazine called her one of the 100 most influential people on the planet.
See, and I've spoken with her. So that makes you second, isn't it Facebook, they're LinkedIn, like your second
So
connection
me
to
just
her?
talking to you, I should feel good, 'cause you've-
Well, and I know you're honored.
Okay, all right.
So she's spread her influence here.
Yeah, all right.
Tremendous. That is really good, though. I mean, she's, it's amazing the people that came from, that Austin produces, so. Okay, and I'll talk to you later, then I'll write that stuff down so I can pass
Give her
that
a key
on.
to the city.
I should.
She needs to
Okay.
have a key.
Kim, did you have something?
Thank you. There'll be a big weekend this weekend in Austin as well. We'll have 440 swimmers at the pool competing in the Minnesota Regional Championships. We haven't had a swim meet for a very, very long time on a big scale. We had some small ones early, so we'll see how this one goes. The Riverland Baseball, we'll have 24 teams here for the MSF U14 tournament, state tournament, and that'll be Friday. They'll start at 3 and go Saturday and Sunday. And then also Austin Youth Hockey is hosting their golf tournament out at Meadow Greens. And then our track meet is on Tuesday at Westcott Field, and that's free for those kids 3 and up.
All right. Jim. Chief Jim. Fire chief. Not electrical, a lot of electrician chief.
Flush hydrants in the southwest, and we've had some issues in some areas with real dirty water, so if anybody has any issues, they can call the fire station.
Okay. And David.
I just want to mention that progress is being made on the Highway 105 project. Anyone traveling out on Oakland Avenue West or 12th Street Southwest would recognize the dodging of manholes and construction equipment and everything else involved with that. But later this week, they plan to place the final lift of asphalt, weather permitting, probably working Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, multiple days to place the final lift of asphalt on the roadway. So things are starting to come together on that project. And they actually moved up that paving schedule a week to try and get things buttoned up there because they recognize the safety issues involved with the manholes and the bumps and the milling and the workers out there. So that should be occurring later this week, again, weather permitting.
Seems like we have an awful lot of construction going on this year. Maybe it's just more of it by my house than normal, but, I mean, that's a good thing, really. That's what I tell people. It means we're getting new roads, but it seems like there's an awful lot of it.
Yeah, just in general, you know, our department, we have a lot of residential street reconstruction. Then anytime MnDOT comes in and does a project like 105, it really just adds to the workload that we have going on in the city. Yep.
Okay, good. And Matt?
Do I get to speak to the city council?
Nope.
No?
Nope. We put up with your personal attacks on people for years, and we've cut you out. We don't have to allow that. When you started calling me a Nazi, I think that was the end of, that's the end of it.
That's a lie.
That's not a lie. Anyway, well, then we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll take a short break. We'll meet in the conference room across the street.